Let's just go ahead and get on into it. One of the great things about owning an agency is access to a lot of different websites and a lot of different spaces. We worked on well over 100 campaigns this year at From the Future, our agency, and we have access to a lot of data on what works. And when it comes to SEO, the algorithm is always changing and you've got to stay one step ahead. From what we've seen, UX or user experience is by far the most underrated aspect of SEO. If your website is stuck at position 3, position 4, maybe even position 2, if you've done all the on-page, if you've built links and you still can't get your website to move, chances are it's because you're serving a poor user experience to your website's visitors. In this webinar, I'm going to cover 3 things. Number 1 is really understanding your audience. It's critically important that a lot of marketers, specifically SEOs, just glaze past. Number 2 is some case studies from UX clients and how we've seen a massive increase in rankings and traffic and how you can leverage UX in your SEO. Just a little bit about myself. I've got over 10 years of experience in digital marketing. I built, scaled, and sold a number of online businesses. Recently just sold my e-commerce store. Very excited about that. I've got over 5,000 online trainings sold. I've got my own private training course with tons of marketers in it, specifically geared for marketing professionals. But currently I serve as a partner at From the Future, a technical SEO and UX agency based out of Miami and Philadelphia. So let's get into it. First, I want to talk about your audience because this is something that's always overlooked by marketers, especially search professionals. Audience is really the most important part of your marketing. It drives pretty much everything. And it's really easy to waste your resources chasing people who do not contribute to growth. And this is a direct result of a lack of audience understanding, right? I mean, blog content, being on Snapchat, Instagram storying, that takes time, that takes resources. But if your audience isn't there, if they don't care about Instagram stories, you shouldn't be doing it. Instead, we want to focus our resources catering to those who pay. And we want to really build everything around our paying customers and gear everything from our color schemes, our logos, our messaging to our paying customers and focusing on expanding those people out. So this is really what feeds your brand's UX. Again, I mentioned your marketing mix. Should we be using Snapchat? Should we be using AdWords? Should we be using Facebook? Your brand's messaging, how you should speak to them, what tone, what voice, should you curse or not? And your market positioning, right? These are all very important things that your audience is going to drive. And if you don't understand who they are, if you don't understand how to speak to them, you're never going to deliver the proper user experience and UX for your customer. So your UX should speak directly to your audience. I'm just going to give you a couple of personal examples here. So when I launched Webris, which was my first agency, I thought I was marketing my agency. I was creating a lot of content, I was doing YouTube videos, speaking engagements. But when I looked at my data, it painted a very different picture. I was looking at who was commenting, who was following us, who was sending us Facebook messages, YouTube comments, etc. And what I saw was 99% of my audience was non-transactional. So this is what I like to call concentric circles, very similar to a marketing funnel. It just helps to explain a little bit better what I'm looking at here. So the small inner circle there, those were my customers. Let's say, for example, I was doing 1 million visits a year to my website. Only 0.01% of those were converting into paying customers, right? It goes back to the age-old thing, like what good is traffic if it doesn't convert? Everyone knows that, but not a lot of people know how to flip that switch and really make that connection between traffic, conversions, and not only just conversions, but becoming paying customers, whether that's an agency client or somebody buying a pair of sneakers off your e-commerce website. Again, that's the actual transactional value of your website. Mine was very small. I was getting a lot of attention. I had a lot of people aware, and I had a lot of fans, but I did not have a lot of customers. So you can see here, I was doing a lot of YouTube stuff. I had a ton of people that were aware of me, tons of video views, almost 1 million views on YouTube. But for the amount of views and the amount of page views I was getting on my website, very few were actually converting. And that was a direct result because I didn't know who my audience was. So what I did is I went back and I consulted my data. When I looked at the data, I realized that 90% of my traffic was coming from desktop. It's very easy in today's world to get lost in mobile. Mobile is everything. We spend a lot of time on our phones. But if your audience, if your customer isn't a mobile user, if they're still accessing your website through desktop, can't speak today, I apologize, then you should build your experience around that. You should speak to your audience, right? So that was the first thing I realized. The second thing was I realized that my audience was almost all marketing professionals. They were not customers looking for agency services. Well, again, when I looked at who was commenting on my blog posts, when I looked at who was subscribing to my YouTube channel, who was retweeting my stuff on Twitter, they were all marketing professionals that either worked at an agency or worked in-house at a big company as marketers. So what I did was I rebuilt the website and refocused the content and the messaging, right? I wanted to focus it a little bit more for marketing professionals. You can see here, these 3 arrows. I just clearly segmented the website to show that we do agency services, we have tools, and we have trainings. So I decided to launch a number of tools. You can check them out on our website, and a number of trainings that were geared specifically towards marketing professionals. I still offer agency services, but I wanted to scrape the rest of the market and make my website a little bit more transactional. So what I saw was a massive increase in engagement, traffic, and most importantly, sales. And more importantly, visitors and search engines better understand the website. So you can see here when I made that sidebar change to the website, you can see this is the drop in bounce rate. The bounce rate was averaging around 75 to 80%. As soon as I made that change with the left-hand sidebar, made it more desktop friendly, not mobile friendly, desktop friendly, our bounce rate plummeted to 50%. If you don't know what a bounce rate means, that's when somebody comes to your website and does not visit another page. So now 50% of the time somebody comes to our website, they're 25% more likely now to visit another page on the website, which means more engagement, more traffic, and more sales. Really, really important. Also, you can see here, this is a screenshot from SEM Rush, just the skyrocket in keyword rankings and visibility that we've seen over the last 6 to 8 months, directly because of these UX experiences. We're not doing more link building. We're not really building more content. We're not doing any more keyword research or on page. This is a direct result of an improved user experience and audience understanding on our website, and just delivering more information and better information that's targeted to who is already coming to our website. It's really important. So now our customers fuel everything, and it's a lot easier to move people into paying customers, right? So I now have a funnel, if you will, or these concentric circles. I'm able to drive awareness. I'm able to get people to be fans, but more importantly, I have a lot more of a better experience to deliver a paying service to my customers. So my customer base has grown, my income has grown, my agency's grown, which I actually sold the From the Future in 6 months ago. That's neither here nor there. But our businesses are now growing a little bit more on autopilot because I've got that audience messaging and UX dialed in. So this is a case study from a client that I've been working with. So this is important. A lot of times we think our audience is one thing, or we want our audience to be one thing, right? This is a perfect example. It's a company called Fetch My Vet. They do mobile pet services. They send a vet to your home. And they, in their mind, they are a fully funded company. They're very smart people, but they wanted their audience to be somebody. And they built their messaging, and they built their UX, they built their website, they built their branding all around who they wanted their audience to be, not who they were and not who they should have been. So they brought me in as a consultant to look at the data and help them understand why their website wasn't converting and why they weren't growing as fast as they should have been. And what I found was that it wasn't a marketing issue, it was really a UX issue. And it was because they did not know who their audience was. So what I did was very simple. I dug into this outer ring here, which is the awareness, right? I looked at their Facebook page audience data, their Twitter page audience data, their engagement data from Facebook ads, to try and figure out who was engaging with their existing content, to dig out an audience persona. Then I went into the fans and I started looking at contact form submissions, live chat data, AdWords data, again, to really understand who is in that middle core of people that are engaging with them. And finally, I looked at their CRM data, their customer data, and at any time we were sending a vet to an in-home visit, we were asking them to collect data on who was ultimately making the phone call, who was answering the door, who was responsible for the pet at home. So we're building this customer profile of all these circles here to understand who was at each stage in the journey for these customers. And the end result of this has been a massive redesign. The company's doing very well, expanding very fast. And I don't want to say it's all because of UX, but it has a lot to do with just rebuilding their online brand, understanding their audience better, and really tailoring that across everything. And they've seen a very, 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 very nice increase. So again, like I said, we want to use our data to drive change. This is an example from the e-commerce website that I just sold. This is a company called Laces Out. We sold shoelaces. What I knew was that the audience was young, that they were impatient. They wanted to get in and out of the website. They're between 14 and 21. They grew up on mobile phones, obviously very mobile friendly. They wanted things to be fast. They want things yesterday. The product had a very low repurchase rate, so there was no need to create an account or log in or check out, which you see on a lot of sites like Gap.com, which people are coming back to. That makes sense. But if somebody's only buying your product once, we don't want to make them check in. It's a waste of a step that, again, is going to slow things down and cause friction, which is the exact opposite of what we want. So what we did is we built the website to basically run completely on PayPal. All credit cards were processed through PayPal, but I've had these big checkout with PayPal buttons everywhere on the website because people preferred to pay digitally. They're young. They didn't want to pull out a credit card. Most of them probably didn't even have a credit card, but they had a PayPal account because they were using it for a lot of different things like eBay, Amazon, etc. So again, even the cart here had a checkout with PayPal. It was littered across. We built a one-page checkout where you can check out with PayPal. Again, really understanding that took our conversion rate on the website from about 1% to about 3% right away just by doing that, because we were catering to our audience and to their needs, and our user experience was delivering on that and we're reaping benefits from it. So we want to laser focus our messaging. Don't try and do too much, right? Again, really understand who your audience is and what they're looking for. If somebody's coming to your website, who is your audience and what are they looking for? That's really the core of what we're talking about here. So my personal website, I have a consulting website, RyanWasHere.com. I was trying to do way too much. The messaging was confusing. I was trying to make it like an online resume and show off all the stuff, but I decided to refocus it to be only about consulting. Because what I realized when I looked at my data was that the site was ranking on the second page nationally for keywords like digital marketing consultant, online marketing consultant, SEO consultant, etc. So again, I rebuilt the website top to bottom. And again, you can check it out at RyanWasHere.com to really focus on being an online marketing consultant. And again, the results of this have just been astounding. The site had good links, again, like I said, but I didn't really change anything aside from the UX of the front end design. And there's been an explosion in keyword rankings. And if you look at some of these now, I mean, I'm ranking third for digital marketing consultant. These are national terms. I get a lot of really, really good leads from these keywords, and they drive a lot of business to our agency from the future. So summing up audience real quick, I had to cover that. It's not the most sexy thing in the world, but it's really important. Don't waste time assuming who your audience is. Consult your data to tell the story and refocus all of your messaging and interactions to focus on your customers. Know who your audience is, know who your core customer is, and cater to those people exclusively. So now let's get into a little bit more specific about UX and SEO. So what is UX? You probably heard this term floating around. If you don't know, UX stands for user experience. It is not UI, which stands for user interface. UX is not art. This is very important. UX is a function of marketing and design. UI is a function of design. So for example, UX is functional. We're talking about how the page should be laid out. It should be consistently evolving. It is not art as much as a lot of designers want to think it is. It is a function of marketing, and it is a functional living thing. It's about transactions. It's about commerce. It's about making money. UX focuses on making things easy for your customers. So like I said, I like saying UX should reduce friction at every point possible. It's about user flows, journeys, mobile or desktop, the path to conversion, where UI is a function of colors, patterns, design styles, logos, fonts, tones, things like that. That's UI. They go hand in hand, but UX should come first. And again, we like to build UX as a function of marketing. So after we do keyword research, we like to put those keywords into a UX exercise where we're really figuring out if somebody's searching for X, how can we build this page around X to make it ranked for X, Y, and Z? That's UX. And then afterwards, we pass to a UI designer who makes it look nice and pretty. So why does it matter for SEO? This is really, really important. The algorithm is looking heavily at searcher satisfaction. So Google, again, has done a tremendous job over the last really probably 3 to 5 years getting away from links. Links are still very important, but looking a little bit more at things that are a little bit more realistic and a little bit harder to spam. And searcher satisfaction is one of those things. So for example, if you're looking for white tennis shoes, and you click on the first result and you don't see what you're looking for, so you go back. You click on the second result, you don't see what you're looking for, so you go back. Then you go to the third result, you click on that, you click around on a few pages, read a few blog posts, and then you end up buying the sneakers. That interaction, again, that's a very simple interaction, but that interaction tells Google that, hey, maybe the third result is a better result than the first 2 results because the person came to these first 2 results and left right away and didn't take any action. But this third result seemed to really deliver a good experience for the keyword white sneakers. So UX can help you increase that stickiness, like I said, reduce friction, and increase user sentiment. And again, this is really, really important. When we're talking about building an online experience, we want to build the right sentiment that's going to speak to our audience, like I said, and UX is how we communicate that. So oftentimes when everything else is buttoned up, this is really important. UX is the reason that you're not ranking, especially when we're talking about big competitive keywords. The difference between positions 1 and 2, man, it could be $1 million, right? Depending on what your website does, depending on how big it is. So if you're stuck on position 4, if you're stuck at position 5 or 3 or even number 2, and you've got better links, I see this all the time. I do all these consults. People are like, man, my links are better. My keywords are better. My content is better. Why can't I beat this website? And I'm like, well, because their UX is just better than yours. Like, look at their website and look at yours. Yours sucks. It's a harsh reality because design and UX is also very subjective, but it's a fact. If your website is not delivering the right experience, Google understands that because of the data that they're collecting, and you're going to get punished essentially because of that. So the UX process, this is a very boiled down and simple process from what we do as an agency, but essentially we look at keyword research and mapping. That's step number 1. We're going to look at some of the technical things like URL architecture, hub and spoke, and user flows. And we're going to talk about practical user conversations, right? So when we're doing this as an agency, when we take on a client, these are the 3, again, very high level, not to get too complex for this presentation here, but the things that we run through. So I'm going to take you through some real case studies to show you how we use these 3 things. So number 1 is keyword research. And I'm going to go back to my e-commerce website, Laces Out, because it's just such an amazing case study. I have all this great data from it. So there's a lot of great keyword research tools out there. I'm not talking bad about any of them, but me personally, I just really love to start with Google related searches, especially for beginners, or especially again for these practical user conversations. Google's related searches are amazing. So going back to my Shoelaces Out, my Laces Out website, sorry. So if we're talking about the main keyword, if we're starting from scratch, we're building the website and we're saying, okay, what is my main keyword? What is this website about? You just go to Google, you type in shoelaces, you scroll down to the bottom, and you can see you've got all these other related searches. So whenever somebody's searching for shoelaces, this is Google telling you, hey, these are the 8 most common things that people are searching for when they're searching for shoelaces. So what you can do is you can start to build what I like, some people call semantics, some people call supporting keywords. You can start to build basically a picture of what should be supporting that keyword to help you understand the keywords that should be on your pages and should be on your website. So I'm going to take you through this thought process and through this journey. So I type in shoelaces and I scroll through the bottom here and I see a couple of things. I see round shoelaces and flat shoelaces immediately stand out to me. Why? Because those are 2 functions of shoelaces. So if somebody's looking for shoelaces and I sell round and flat shoelaces, that's telling me right there that those are 2 very important keywords, because for this big keyword, these are 2 of the 8. This is a quarter of what people are searching for when they're looking for shoelaces. So if we click on round shoelaces, we can now see here it gets even a little bit more surgical. So we go down here and we see things like thick round shoelaces, thin round shoelaces, black. So we're seeing the colors. We're seeing Walmart in here. We're seeing some brand. We're seeing 45 inches. We're seeing some sizing. And then we see round athletic shoelaces as well, right? So if we click on that, that then takes us to this branded OrthoStep round athletic shoelace. Again, you can see the 54 inch there. You can see the length. You can see round shoelaces for sneakers. Again, oval, flat. So again, what I'm starting to collect here just from looking at this data is a couple things. Number 1 is that people are searching by shape. So round, flat, oval, etc. People are really looking for size. People are looking for size and length information. People are looking specifically down to the point where they know the sizing, 54 inch, 45 inch. And then people are also using branded searches in here. So OrthoStep, I saw Walmart, I saw Nike in there. So we're seeing those 3 main things. So those 3 knowledge points right there in terms of keywords really help me understand things. So taking this one step further, taking this to the action point, we're going to put these keywords on the page. So the first thing that we did was when we're building these product pages we took that information. So you can see here, we built our actual product pages in architectures here. You can see our breadcrumbs up here in the top left-hand corner. We built our architecture around this thought, right? So if we're saying the main keyword for the entire brand is going to be shoelaces, and then about 50% of those searches are going to be about brands, they're going to be about size, and they're going to be around shape. We want to make sure that all of our product pages are delivering on that experience so we're communicating the right thing. So you can see here what we did was we actually went ahead and positioned our product as specific replacement laces for specific types of shoes, right? We were taking the same SKU, but we were basically flipping it to capture these keywords in this experience. And I'm going to show you the results in this in a second. So we knew that there was a big search volume behind Jordan replacement laces, behind Jordan laces, but then also supporting it with, you can see here in the bullet points, you can see black, you can see flat, you can see 72 inches, you can see, you can see how we captured all this information just in the header right here. If somebody's coming to this page, it's going to speak to them right away. They know exactly what they're looking for. And again, it's capturing all those semantics. We also did is we built in a specific section for a HTML table for shoelace sizing info. Again, really wanted to drive home how these shoelaces fit and how we recommended them depending on the size of the shoe, how many eyelets, etc. We knew that this was a very, very important search term, and we wanted to build it onto the page. What we then did too was we went through and added all these branded sneakers on here. And this is on every single product page. We put in all these different Jordans here. So for example, we're not just saying that, hey, these are for Jordan 1s, but when we dove down into it, we realized, wow, like this is a pretty big niche here. Like people are actually searching for the specific name of the Jordan 1 sneaker, sometimes not even saying Jordan 1. So they would type into Google something like Chicago OG 1s, shoelaces, right? We now have that keyword on the page without actually having to say Jordan 1. That's a semantic match. And by putting these little images on here, it not only tells people right away they don't have to read, but we're also adding on text there for search engines in these images, which have alt tags, which are, again, telling search engines that, hey, there's 8 additional images here that are all speaking to these pages, to these keywords. It was a direct hit. I mean, I'll show you the results in a second. Sorry, I got ahead of myself, got a little excited. I was about to blow it out the water. But quickly, I want to talk about keyword mapping here. And this is really important about understanding intent. So when we talk about this specifically, there's 4 stages. There's awareness, consideration, purchase, and then nurture. And what we like to do is we like to take our keyword research and apply it to this marketing funnel, and we call mapping, and basically understanding the intent behind each keyword. And this is really, really important when we're talking about audience, when we're talking about UX, and we're talking about increasing stickiness and really delivering on searcher satisfaction. You have to understand intent. It's incredibly important. So going back to this example, the first thing that we have here would be awareness level would be best Air Jordan 1. So when we look at that keyword, there's no direct relationship to shoelaces, right? However, it's an audience match, right? We're looking at saying that, okay, if somebody's searching for shoelaces, but we're saying that Air Jordan 1 is the big thing, and we can write, if we can get some content on the website about like a list of the best Air Jordan 1s, it's a huge search term. And if and when people come to the website, there is that correlation between having the best Air Jordans. If you are looking for the best Air Jordans, that means you probably have a pair, you're looking for a pair. And if you have a pair, you're looking for a pair, then hey, we've got your laces. So having that on the website is a good piece of content that can make that first connection, that first touch point with cold audiences, right? So that would be a great blog post or resource guide, right? We did things like, 14 best Air Jordan 1s with images, blah, 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 right? Great blog post, ended up ranking, driving a lot of traffic, also performs very well on social media for boosted posts on Facebook, etc. Next thing is getting down into consideration. So if they're a warm audience, right? If we know that they have Air Jordan 1s, they're probably going to be, they might be looking for how to lace them. And again, I know this because I did a ton of research on this topic and people are looking for this stuff. So having that, they're saying that now we're making that connection between that sneaker, that brand type, and the actual shoelaces and the actual act of shoelacing, right? So we know they have Air Jordan 1s, they're looking for lacing. Oh, hey, by the way, we sell those exact laces for you. Of course, then when they're looking to purchase, they're just going to be looking directly for the keyword, which would be Air Jordan 1 replacement laces. And then nurture down here. This is kind of a tough example. We generally reserve these more for SaaS type customers who are looking to drive usage of their product. So for example, if you are Ahrefs or SEMrush, you don't want people to just buy the product. You want them to use it so they continue to pay you. So you create nurture content that would be like how to use SEMrush, how to do keyword research with SEMrush. In this example, because it's e-commerce, it's a little bit more challenging. Specifically with laces, we're not necessarily looking to nurture these customers, but just more on lacing styles. So once they have the laces, how can we get them to use them? And then ideally drive repurchases off the back of that. So if we're really going to get surgical with this, it's not just about your website, it's about getting these keywords on the platforms that match the intent of the keywords. So for example, how-to keywords rank very well with YouTube videos. So when we go back here, we're talking about how to lace Air Jordan 1s. That's a very important keyword. It's difficult to get the website to rank sometimes, but if we did a YouTube video about it, Well, I mean, shit, these results speak for themselves. How to lace New Balance 4 here got 110,000 views. This channel has done over 1 million views from just showing people how to lace sneakers and specific types of sneakers. And oh, by the way, I was just sitting there with a camera lacing sneakers that I would buy and then return because I didn't want the sneaker, using our shoelaces, right? So I was getting people seeing me use the product and then just linking directly to the product. Again, it was a great sales method, great awareness method too, and great brand building method. This was one of the reasons why the person wanted to buy this company, was because I had this YouTube channel and this amazing asset that was driving traffic in perpetuity, that was speaking to the audience and delivering the right experience to both users and search engines. So keyword research and mapping is just a winning combo. When I talked again about those Jordan 1 keywords, this is the SERP result for it. You can see we have not only all 3 results, but 3 out of 4 of the image results too. Like, we just dominate that page. Not only, just dominated the page. So when we talk about, and I didn't build a single link to any of these pages. So when we talk about the importance of keyword research, keyword mapping, and then ultimately the UX delivering the right experience for those keywords, it's incredibly important. And again, the results here speak for themselves for this website. The website did an insane amount of traffic because of the ability to understand who our audience was, find the right keywords, and then build the proper experience for those keywords. The traffic just friggin' exploded. And I ultimately sold the business off the back of it, which is pretty incredible if you think about it. So that was keywords and keyword mapping and intent. Part 2 of the UX process is looking at hubs and user flows. So the bigger the keyword, the deeper the experience. So what a hub is basically looking at a central topic and then building what we like to call spokes off of that. So an example is our agency From the Future has a client called Sandals. I'm sure you've heard of them. And they really were hot on ranking for all-inclusive resorts. Huge keyword, both in competition and in monetary value off the back end of it. And really, really, really important keyword to their brand, obviously. And they essentially hired us to help them rank for it, along with a lot of other technical SEO items as well. So we decided to make this keyword what we call a hub, right? And then off the bottom of that was build spokes off of that hub topic. Hub and spokes, not a new concept, but I want to show you how it works in action. So if somebody's looking for all-inclusive resorts, if that's the hub keyword, what might be some of the spokes or supporting things that they would be looking for? So if you're looking for an all-inclusive resort, you're probably going to looking for like accommodations in terms of rooms, suites, bathrooms, and of course for locations. So if you're looking for all-inclusive resorts, probably looking in Jamaica, Bahamas, et cetera, all the different places where you might be looking for an all-inclusive resort. Then activities to do, right? If you want to go snorkeling, if you want to go parasailing, if you want to go scuba diving, diving with sharks, I don't know, God knows what else. That would be information that would also be a spoke of all-inclusive resorts. And then, of course, there's dining information. There's a ton of different spokes that we'd want to build off this. This is a very big keyword. And Google knows that if it's a very, very big competitive keyword, you can't just make a page about all-inclusive resorts. You've got to have this supporting content to support that hub and prop it up to show Google the depth, and also show users too, to satisfy that intent and to deliver the right experience for that keyword. So the bigger the keyword, the deeper we have to make that experience. So what I want to do is run you through how we built it out for Sandals. So these big pages should be hubs, and we want to use internal links to go down into the spokes or supporting pages. So again, like I mentioned, what we did here is we re-UX'd and rebuilt this entire landing page based on this information, all based on basically search data. And then just use our design team to really clean it up and make it look nice. But again, the first things was destination. So if you're looking for all-inclusive resorts, we decided to put on the page, we're going to build out specific pages for each of our locations, Jamaica, St. Lucia, Antigua, and we're going to link down into those, right? So we're showing Google that, hey, this page is all about it, all about all-inclusive resorts. And these are the locations which are going to support this bigger page. That's number one. Another thing is using imagery to help increase dwell time. Right, so what we did is we threw in a bunch of these nice sliders where we've got these beautiful images that again help to communicate some of the benefits. So pools, like I said, that would be like an amenities, right? People are looking at these things they want to understand. By hitting these little circles down here at the bottom of the page, that's going to increase engagement. That's showing Google that, hey, somebody's clicking on the page, somebody's sticking. So images are a great way to do that. And what I want to do is show you an example from another campaign, which ranks for a very competitive keyword. I'm not even going to tell you what this is for because I don't have to, right? This is a company, it's called Hims. Amazing marketing job. Love this company. They've done a lot of great things, especially on Facebook ads. But they do a great job of using imagery to communicate things without having to say them and captivating you and keeping you there. And this is just a screenshot. So they actually rank now for erectile dysfunction pills. They launched a site 4 months ago. Probably one of the most competitive keywords in the world, and they crush it. Definitely a website that you should look into, both their SEO and their Facebook ads. Okay, back to our client. So back to Sandals. So we want to build pages for consumption. So what we decided to do was, again, people skim. There's a lot of data that show that people skim, but on these big landing pages, we can't just make it like big headers. We've got to design it to make it look good. So one of the things that we did too was use bolded text to really hit on these benefit points, right? So romantic getaways, dining experience, accommodations. You can skim through this without really having to read it. And again, why that's important, you might say, well, hey, that makes you spend less time on the page. Well, it actually doesn't, because if you're skimming, that means you're going down the page. And we want to keep driving people down the page, driving towards conversion points. And by just hitting these quick points and not making people stop to read, it does a big job to increase that sentiment and stickiness. So the big pages, again, should be hubs. In a re-UX, you should really look at this page. This page now ranks first, so you can see the keyword volume here, 200,000 searches a month, incredibly competitive, incredibly big. Definitely look at this page, because I just breezed through a few things. This is a very deep, very big landing page that really exemplifies how Hub and Spoke should work from a landing page, bottom of the funnel point of view. A lot of people talk about Hub and Spoke from a blog point of view, which is important, but this is also very important from a conversion in a UX and a bottom of the funnel approach as well for Hub and Spoke. So this is a perfect example of how Hub and Spoke should be for very big competitive keywords. So this is really, honestly, when it comes down to UX and building pages for myself, I like to take a very practical approach. And I just ask myself, if I am searching for X, what am I looking for? It's very easy to do, and sometimes we just forget about it. And as marketers and designers, we just graze over these things, and again, we make assumptions. So the first thing for me is, like, I ask myself, people put pop-ups on there. Do you enjoy pop-ups? And every time I ask people why they have a pop-up, they say the same thing, because they work. But they're also really good at decreasing user sentiment and pissing people off and ensuring that they never come back, or putting a pop-up in their face. If you throw a pop-up in my face, I'm not going to purchase something from you. It's just not going to happen. Like, you're annoying the shit out of me. I'm going to go to your million other competitors who's probably got a better experience. It's going to make things easier for me, who are actually considering what I want. So, excuse me, there's other options aside from just annoying people. One of the things that we developed was just a custom plugin, custom slider on our side of our website that allows people to X out, but does the same thing. And you can see here that this has a 7% conversion rate. Think about that. That's basically a newsletter conversion rate, 7% conversion rate. Whereas pop-ups generally have like a 3% conversion rate. But at the same time, I'm getting people to stay. I'm getting people to stick. And this blog post that I just showed you too is random, but it's pumped up. It's punched up to like page 2 for SEO with very little, huge keyword with very few links. So we want to improve on what we have. If you put yourself in the visitor's shoes, again, like I said, if I'm searching for X, what am I looking for? So here's a good example of something that we're pushing a lot on clients too, which is rebuilding content on their website to just make it look better. So I had this blog post, ultimate free list of SEO tools, and it ranked pretty well. It was on like the second page, and it just listed out a bunch of different free tools. This is a legacy post from like 3 years ago. When I realized that I was ranking pretty well, I looked at it and I said, this could be driving a lot more value. We now build a lot of our own free tools that I would like to promote using this post. So what we did was we went back through and we rebuilt the front end of the page. So I said to myself, if I am looking for this stuff, if I'm looking for free SEO tools, how can I make this a better experience? So what I did is I went through and added these custom drop downs with our designer and developer that filtered the post, added images to the post, added a little bit cleaner just front end, and the results, really, they speak for themselves. Like, you can see the traffic right here. As soon as we launched this page, about a week later, the organic traffic just skyrocketed. The keyword rankings as well, you can see here just all the green, that's just skyrocketing this post. Again, I didn't build any links to it. I did add some more text to it. I updated the post, but it was really the UX and the experience, in my opinion, that just made the post a lot stickier. When I look at the data too, I don't have it here, but people were dwelling longer. People were pathing through the site a little bit longer. It really just shows Google the value of this post a little bit more. And especially when we're talking about doing that against competitors, if you just add a little bit more stickiness to your post while your competitors aren't, it's an easy way to just jump them. So just to wrap things up, Again, audience is everything. You always want to start there. You always want to consult your data. And finally, execute. It's not enough to just know these things. It's not enough to just do keyword research. You've got to take action on these things. And if you can, then you're going to make quite a bit of money. So that's all I got for this. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. Again, my name is Ryan Stewart. I'm with From the Future. If you guys need any help with your SEO or UX or the combination of these both, please go ahead and look us up. I'm going to leave you a couple links in the bottom of this. Take care. Please comment. Please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.